G'day and welcome to part 9 of Adventure Kings Presents A Beginner's Guide to Camping. If you're just tuning in, throughout this series, we've covered topics from camping hacks to how to get into camping, the top 20 things every camper needs to head out bush, and even an awesome Q&A where we answered your camping related questions. All these videos are definitely worth a watch if you haven't seen them already. So have a look on our channel and look for the Beginner's Guide to Camping playlist on our homepage. In this episode, I'm going to take you through some of my favourite ways to store my gear during and after an epic camping trip, as well as a couple of awesome tips and tricks that'll help keep your gear in tip-top condition and in some cases double its life expectancy. We're releasing cracking content just like this every single week, so make sure you do yourself a favour and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell because you're not going to want to miss any of it. So let's get into it. Okay, so when it comes to packing your car to get away camping, it's all about making things as neat and tidy and organised as possible. There's a couple of ways that I like to go about this, which make packing and unpacking the car when I get to camp so much quicker and easier. One of those ways is one of these Butte canvas storage bags. This one here is my oversized canvas bag, which not only holds my swag, but it holds my camp chairs, my mesh floor, sleeping bags, and even my pillows. As you can imagine, this clears up a massive amount of space in the car because I can simply strap the one bag to my roof. The other option, which I love using and take with me on every single camping trip, is a storage box like this one here. Now you might not believe me if I told you absolutely everything else I need to go camping is inside this box. It holds things like my camp oven, my skillet pan, 2-burner gas stove, my barbecue tools and my chopping board. And inside this canvas clear top bag here, I've got fire starters, I've got matches, salt and pepper, I've got a chef's knife, bowls, plates, cutlery, you name it, I've got everything else I need in here. It lives in my shed, so if I decide to go camping last minute, I simply chuck it in the back of the four-wheel drive. This literally cuts my packing time in half because I don't have to dig through the shed for half an hour to find my gear. These storage boxes are water and dust resistant too, so you don't have to worry about your gear getting dirty or wet. It's amazing how much gear you can fit into a storage box like this. This is so unbelievably handy if you only have limited space to deal with if you're packing for your whole family. A more permanent solution, which is not only great for camping, but for day-to-day life, is a set of rear storage drawers. These days, you can get them to perfectly suit the back of just about any vehicle, and you can buy a set for way less than you might think. The beauty of a set of storage drawers is you can pack one side full of your recovery gear or your tools, and the other you can keep as your camp cooking drawer. Plus, some drawers come with wing kits, so you can chuck first aid kits, tyre repair kits, or even spare parts in there. Having your car set up this way means you never have to pack or unpack the car to head out camping. You can literally duck home, grab the swag and a couple of camp chairs, and take off whenever you want. Now, looking after your camping gear will not only make it easier next time you go camping, but it's also going to prolong the life massively. Just to give you an example, with the exception of the awning and the mesh floor here, I've been using this setup here for about 3 years now, and I go camping absolutely every chance I get, so about 2 or 3 times a month. Now, the reason it's in such good condition is very simple. I look after my gear. Before I roll my swag up, I always give it a quick brush over to get any mud, dirt, or wet grass off it. And while I'm rolling it up, I always like to keep a microfiber cloth handy to wipe off all the excess moisture off the bottom. The main reason you want to minimize moisture is because, as we all know, moisture causes mold, and in the long run, mold will just ruin your gear. Another handy preventative maintenance tip for your swag is to get your hands on a mesh floor like this one here. It'll keep the moisture off the bottom of your swag, but more importantly, it'll add an extra layer of protection to keep your swag off the dirt, rocks, and sand. Now, if you're in a bit of a rush while you're packing things up at camp, then don't worry. Just make sure when you get home, dry things out properly before you chuck it back in the shed, because there's nothing worse than pulling up at camp and rolling out your swag to find it's full of mold. I normally like to set my swag up in the backyard with both sides left wide open to let the air flow through, but the same thing goes with your awning, your sleeping bags, or even your rooftop tent. Just make sure it's aired out properly before you chuck it away. As I just mentioned, keeping your gear in good nick is about preventative maintenance. Another handy tip for your barbecue is to line the bottom of it with some foil. That way, instead of cleaning up all the grease when you're done, you can just scrunch up the foil and chuck it away. Now, when it comes to camp cooking, these 2 bits of gear here can literally last a lifetime, and they're one of the easiest to maintain. All you've got to do to look after them properly is, once they've cooled down after you're done cooking, give them a wash out with some mild dish soap, let them dry, then get some spray-on oil like this, give the inside a good coating, and wipe it off with a paper towel, but leave a fine layer of oil behind because that's going to prevent corrosion and rust. It's that simple. Now, another thing that you should absolutely do after every trip is give your fridge, if you have one, a good clean out with some multi-purpose spray or some multi-purpose wipes. Then turn the fridge off and chuck the lid open like this to let it air out properly. Now, take it from me, guys, this is a must do. So please take the time to clean your fridge properly. Empty all the stuff out, give it a good spray with some disinfectant, and grab yourself a bowl of baking soda and chuck it at the bottom of your fridge and close the lid. Leave it there for a couple of days. Now, what that's gonna do is the baking soda is gonna absorb all the bad stench that's left over in your fridge and leave it smelling brand new. Rightio, so you've just got back from an epic weekend away and it's time to chuck all your gear back in the shed. Now, as I previously mentioned, make sure you take the time to clean things properly, particularly if you've been beach camping. So when you get back, make sure you hose out all the hinges and get rid of any salt or sand that's built up in there. And if you really want to go crazy, grab a can of WD-40 and give all the hinges a good spray. This is going to prevent corrosion massively and prolong the life as well. And again, the best way to pack away your gear after a camping trip is as neat and tidily as possible. So I've got mine sorted out in sections here. I've got camp cooking, dry food, sleeping gear, got a mesh floor, some tables. As long as it's all neat, it'll save you a bunch of time. Now, one final tip before I go is you'll often find these moisture absorption satchels in a brand new pair of shoes. Make sure you hang on to them. They're super handy and they cost nothing. And they're one extra bit of protection for your gear to keep it dry. So chuck it in your swag, your sleeping bag, your storage boxes, anywhere you think you might have missed a bit of moisture, and it'll keep it nice and fresh. So there you go. Following these tips and tricks, you'll be able to head out camping at the drop of a hat. But more importantly, all your gear will remain in tip-top condition for many years to come. Now, if you've got any tips, tricks, or hacks to keep your shed nice and neat, or an unconventional way to keep your gear in good condition, then leave us a line in the comments section below. And as always, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell to make sure you don't miss out on any cracking upcoming videos.